Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I'm your host and sometimes referee, Zach Pearson, and today I'm joined by a one officer cops, the only cop that doesn't shoot first and ask questions.
It's funny because it's true.
Damn near. Anyways, alright. So, today's topics are pretty simple yet complex. But as per usual, we're going to go down the list. Sonic motherfucking mania. Has Sega already bit the hand that fed it? Is it possible for us to even get anything like a Sonic Mania ever again? Now, I say this due to them trying to lie about the DRM on the PC version and the creators of the actual game, which isn't Sega, keep in mind they just commissioned it, didn't so much make the game as, like I said, commissioned it and allow it to exist. Now, see, a bit of backstory about this one. What they did was they quite literally held back the release of the PC version, even though it was submitted in a finished state to Sega to go on the Steam. And when it came out, it had either de novo or DRM or de novo based DRM on it, which has destroyed some of the latency and whatnot of the game itself. And if memory serves, the game cannot actually function offline. So they immediately tried to shift the blame onto the people that made the game. Oh, this is an error we couldn't have foreseen. We don't know how or why this happened. It's these guys' potential fault. Now, this is a paraphrase as I don't have their official statement directly in front of me. And, well, at this time, I don't think I'm going to find it, even though it's available online. Not because I'm lazy, but because they didn't put it on Steam necessarily. They did it through social media. And the rebuttal, or at least the question I got asked by Christian Whitehead and the like, Christian Whitehead being one of the lead people who worked on this game, was something along the lines of, hey, did you guys know that this DRM was going to be on there, or did you guys decide on this DRM? And is this what's possibly making the game play so differently? Because to my knowledge, they gave them the PC version in a finished state, which didn't need any extra modifications, bells, whistles, none of that shit. So we don't know how they feel about this other than, I guess, obvious betrayal. So at this point, I'm not even sure. And I want to ask, do you even think we'll get something like a Sonic Mania again, since they, well, basically decided to shorthand the people that helped them make it? Not even helped them make it, who actually made it. Why or why not?
Well, considering they went and injected what many see as, well, spyware in the form of de novo. God, that word's so dirty these days.
Yeah, like, I don't even know what the fuck. Was it an actual word? It just sounds so stupid.
Not sure really. But they injected de novo into it, delay it, and they just commissioned it out to someone else. Which shows that I don't think Sega make a good Sonic game anymore. So I don't think there will be another Sonic like this one. The next Sonic game, that Sega makes, probably going to end up another either just whatever game like most of the Sonic games lately, or it'll end up in a third disaster after 06 and boom. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be another Sonic game of that level. And, well, unless they remove the de novo crap, I'm not buying that game on Steam.
Honestly can't say I blame you. So you don't think we're gonna get anything like this again because, well, Sega decided to Sega everything. Also, let me just say that I wish, it sounds like a joke, but unfortunately it's just become very true. Sega'd something.
Yeah, kind of.
All right. Well, let me put in my 2 cents. Bit of background on my Sonic knowledge. I was born into the shit. No long story. I was born into the shit. I have been playing Sonic since before I could properly play video games, which means I basically just bit the goddamn controller. So, I know, or I knew, when Sega was in a time and place where they didn't fuck this shit up. I like to call this the Nakamura era, because it's fun to say Nakamura era. Yuji Nakamura being the lead programmer of pretty much any Sonic game that you ever tugged at your heartstrings, with the exception of Colors and Generations, because let's be honest, outside of those two, he did 90% of the good ones. Yuji Nakamura, fucking, I've yet to hear him say anything about this game, but I can honestly say that I feel like he would probably shed a tear or either have great respect for the team that put it together. Because if you were to put that game back in time, you would not even notice, well, except for the animation opening, you would not even notice that that game was made in this day and age. It's literally damn near the same as, you know, the whole Streets of Rage thing, or the Streets of Rage mods going around. They made a brand new character that legit didn't exist. It was an April Fool's that they took to the next fucking level. Literally. They even took other characters that were in the game and gave them a complete legitimate moveset.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. It's got different names for different versions, but really, it's a Streets of Rage player at this point. So you can start with the base game. You can start one with modified sound effects. You can start one that is themed after certain video game eras and whatnot, or you could just get one that's puts in a bunch of other Sega 2D characters, or tries to cross over and mix all the beat 'em up characters. If I find one that has the Aliens vs Predator arcade Capcom game mixed in with those guys, I can honestly die happy. Also, that's one of my favorite arcade games. Too short though. And I feel like, unfortunately, we all know that the depths these guys would go through or are going through to make and do Sonic related things is a depth that few can even reach. So I feel like Sega did this because they knew that these mugs would let them get away with it. And I know that sounds so fucked up, and I know that sounds so fucking wrong. But I'm sure you realize by now, I am neither a pessimist, I am neither an optimist. I am a realist. And I know fucked up people and fucked up companies. And I know that sometimes there are good people at fucked up companies. I was in the army. I saw a lot of shit like that. So, to me, or for me at least, I can honestly tell you up front, yeah, we're going to get something like this again. But I think even if they burnt that bridge, they don't care. And when I say no frame of reference, what I mean is that when I say that they now have a frame of reference, so they're not going to care. Just to elaborate, what I mean is that since they got all the data encoding and source material for that game and for that type of a game, they can just go and fucking reconstruct it themselves or drop it in a 3D space. Think about this for a second. This already has happened with Capcom, but in a different way. Capcom. That name never gets old. Capcom literally doesn't have the same people that made them popular or made their games great anymore. But Capcom being Capcom, they don't allow, or either they don't think to have people learn and be taught how to do shit from their predecessors. They don't. So they went through a cycle, and sometimes they're still going through a cycle, depending on the franchise, of not knowing what the fuck to do. Because here comes the brand new guy, or the guy that was been in the company for years, but has never touched this specific fucking topic. For example, Resident Evil. And then he just goes and does his own damn thing. But then if it becomes popular, he may get an impression that, oh, this is what I need to do to maintain, you know, people liking the game, even though he doesn't realize you fractured or are further fracturing the fan base. And a fractured fan base is not really, it's a neutral thing, but it can go in a negative or positive direction. Basically, I'm talking about Resident Evil 5.
Oh, God.
That's where the split happened. Listen, it is the highest selling Resident Evil game of all time, but it is also the least Resident Evil game.
Yeah, it is. I mean, some made the argument that 4 was less Resident Evil, but not quite as much as 5.
True. Okay, so here's my thing though. They're in a state where they have created that same situation over again. Sega is a hollow shell of what it used to be. Economically, financially, they may do fine, but listen, they have arcade fucking stadiums basically at this point, or just giant land masses of arcades in Japan, which piss money daily. They have franchises that have merchandise that sells, even if it's a dead franchise. No, actually, Sega doesn't even do dead franchise merchandise. That's Capcom's thing. But they do franchise merchandising. And also, they have subsidiaries, and they buy lesser companies that they've been publishing, that they publish for, and they publish for people in Japan to come to the rest of the world. They're technically, I think, 5 companies. They are, stop me if I'm wrong, or Google this for me while I try to call them off. Sega owns Platinum Games. In fact, they pretty much helped fucking found it. They own Atlas. They own, I'm forgetting somebody. Platinum Games, Atlas. No, I don't think they own Exceed. They own Platinum Games, Atlas. They also are either a partial owner or have certain game studios as a subsidiary that escape my mind right now. They also have decent connections with the animation industry in Japan. They don't get many shows, but you know, they've got their contacts.
I don't believe Platinum Games involved with Sega.
Yeah, they are, dude. Like, literally, they are. They got a lot of their first year funding, and fucking plus Sega does all of their publishing. They're their licensed publisher.
Ah, okay. Looks like it's a is it just a partnership? Well, whatever. I can look into that some other time. A few other subsidiaries that Sega has that I can remember off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
Are Creative Assembly, the geniuses who brought us the Total War series, Relic Entertainment, who brought us the Dawn of War series, and I believe also I want to say they were involved with a few other games, but I forget.
Why not just
But yeah, those are the 2 that I remember.
Google Sega list of subsidiaries or Sega subsidiaries. Oh yeah, and like I said, they own arcade buildings, like legit arcade buildings.
Yup.
Oh yeah, and they even own party, or rather entertainment buildings in offshore too. GameWorks is actually, they either have a contract or they were originally owned by Sega up until I think 2013 or 14 or something like that.
GameWorks.
Still not as good as Galloping Ghost, but they do different things. And they also have a contract with Dave and Buster's, or either they used to, if memory serves.
I have some grudges with GameWorks, but that's something that's discussed another time.
I'm gonna hold you to that one. So yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like they got old blood going, and the new blood isn't even in company; it's subsidiary. So they can't necessarily just tell them, "Hey, you're gonna go do this, chop chop." So yeah. Anyways. Oh yeah, and I believe they also own a manufacturer of some type, but you know they don't do consoles anymore, so they do, I think, novelty manufacturing or some of their own merchandise manufacturing and production. But
Probably
again,
better they got out of consoles.
nah, not really. The problem was leadership. They got everything right, finally, but at the same time, it looked like a good idea on paper because that was the first year they made a total profit in all sectors when they get out of council. That was the first year. So they weren't even structured right. But at the same time, there isn't. This is video games. Nothing is stable. Everything is in a flux. Nothing can truly be structured right. You can just
everything's dependent on we gamers who are the consumer. If we don't like a game, it will fail, and it could be the end of companies.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, we have a new person who or a new challenger who is setting up their Discord, and yeah, trying to get them in. And oh yeah, where's the invite thingy at? Instant invite, copy. That is actually pretty convenient. Anyways, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, so yeah, well, I'm dealing with him, but I'm not gonna leave you hanging. So yeah, let me get back to this. All right, so that's how we feel about the Sega shit. Now the next part. Sorry. The GameCube controller finally / officially dead. Nintendo hasn't confirmed or denied the possibility of the Wii U branded GameCube controllers and GameCube adapter being utilized on the Switch. However, due to their evolutionary, or rather revolutionary, depending on how you look at it, status, it's also just as easily unlikely that moving forward to continue one, especially since the control schematic is solely for Super Smash Brothers at this point. They only ported that control schematic over for Smash Bros. Let's be honest. Even though there will be a Switch version of that game, it may impede potential purchases of the Switch-based gamepad format controllers. So the question I like to ask you is, do you think they're going to make another gamepad adapter for the Nintendo GameCube controller? Or do you think it's finally, laid to rest? Why or why not?
Well, knowing Nintendo, I've seen that as for certain situations, they've sometimes gone and forcibly removed something and never brought it back. And even if people had a really high demand for it, they're like, nope, not bringing it back. I get the feeling that might be the case with the GameCube controller, which, it is probably the best controller Nintendo ever put out. So it's pretty stupid, at least in my opinion, that they're going and doing this. Because, come on. You're getting rid of your best controller and only bringing it back for Smash? Yeah, at least it's good that you're finally come to the point of finally admitting, yes, the GameCube controller is the only way to play Smash. You can't play Smash with the Wiimote. It is objectively wrong. So, I mean, I guess that's some slightly good news there. But it's still kind of sad that it's hearing though. Rather like that controller.
We'll always have Melee. Not to mention, you know, the whole rumor of an HD version of Melee, so.
Nah, I don't care. I don't play Melee for really shiny graphics. I play it because, well, I've got friends who obsess over, it's the best! When honestly, I don't care. It's a party game. Stop taking it so seriously.
Party fighting games. I think literally Melee is the only party fighting game I've ever seen taken seriously. Not to mention if party's more of a subgenre, but at the same time, how many fighting games are that technically honed? Like, all bullshit aside, they got the game almost down packed the first try. They only updated it to 0.03 or 0.09, if memory serves. So that's pretty fucking good, if you stop and think about it. But at the same time, you know, it still has all those shortcomings. But at least Roy functions. God, they fucked Roy so hard in 4. It's not even. They gave him buffs for 2 fucking patches. Still least valuable character. One of the least valuable characters in the game. And it's because of one simple thing that they won't fucking change. Well, 2, really. But, you know, I'm not going to get into that. We're not here for that. For me, I say, and this is my everyone wants to bullshit cliche, indecisive answer. I think it can go either way. But I'm going to make a case for both. It is extremely easy for Nintendo to port their own games to the fucking Switch. Fuck a Melee HD. They could do the entire collection HD. They could do 1 through fucking 4 if they wanted to, or a 1 through 3. Hey, Austin, can you hear me? Type something if you can hear me. Sorry, people. We have a new challenger right now coming in, or at least listening in, and eventually he'll come in. No pun intended. But I need to make sure he can hear or see us. Okay, hey, Matt, run him through how to connect. I believe you're on your phone, right, Austin? And even if you're not, you should still download this to your phone. It's very small. Okay, hey, teach him how to do push to talk on his phone.
I'm not sure how to do push to talk on the phone, but I do know how one can at least get on their phone. So, if you tap the top left where it shows the three lines, then you'll see voice channels and like all that. Yeah, you can join. But as for how to do the
yeah, when you see those dots, you should see a menu that says connect to voice. That means you. If you press that button, you should be able to talk. But it'll either be set to push to talk or automatic speech, as in it'll just pick you up.
Yeah, below the voice channels is a little. Oh.
No. You're in general. Come out of general and go into where it says token cast. Oh wait, can he hear us if he's not in token cast?
No.
Okay. Alright, so yeah. While that's going on, if they did that, they already know people are gonna immediately ask them, I wanna play the GameCube controller. But at least this time, instead of reproducing the GameCube controller and the adapter, they won't have to reproduce the GameCube controller and the adapter. They can just reproduce the adapter and say, look, we're not making those fucking controllers. There's enough of them out there in the fucking wild. But if they notice like there's a stupid high level of repurchases, like something crazy like 9-10 million, then yeah, I could see them making the controller along with the adapter. However, opposite side, this is Nintendo. Nintendo picks and chooses when they work with logic. I like to think of them as 2 steps forward, 1 steps back. This is the company that thought the Wii U was going to be successful, even though it didn't do the one thing it needed to do, which is make sure all the games could be played off screen, and also not try to force people into using that goddamn screen, or developers, and use a modern engine and operating system that is easy for people to work with and wasn't extremely cumbersome. Basically, you know, common sense shit. Nintendo does not work on that. Nintendo works on Nintendo sense. And even though they will have people internally fighting them or telling them literally, hey, what you're doing right now is half a good idea and half a bad idea. How about we make it a full good idea by doing these small little tweaks? They'll go, eh. That being said, though, however, they have new leadership. The new leadership does not play video games. However, he's been at that company for most of his adult life. So I can't discredit him and say that, you know, his opinions or what he does won't be valid. That being said, you know, he ain't fucked up yet. Well, other than his callousness with how their amiibo are being handled. Now, I don't mean the stock. I mean how they're being handled in DLC involving them are being handled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, that could be below his level, so he might not even fucking know. Remember, his job is to make sure the games are good, not the DLC necessarily, not the amiibo necessarily. That being said, obviously, if he says there's DLC or that he wants DLC, it's gonna happen, which obviously that does happen. So that's why I say that. It's Nintendo. We never know with those guys. We never fucking know. Nintendo is the equivalent of Russian roulette. I feel like their career for the past 10 years, and I know that sounds fucked up, is Russian roulette. Spin the dial. Nintendo 3DS. Yay, we got it. We didn't die. Spin the dial. Nintendo Wii U. Bang.
Oh God, that almost killed me.
Well, luckily you had a 1-up. Anyways, so yeah, that's just how I look at it. Now, okay, we really should get his mic fixed. I'm gonna see if I can. Okay, well, Matt, you bullshit right now. I'm gonna go see if I can Google instructions on how he can speak and shit, cause you know it shouldn't be that hard. It should be either push to talk or automatic.
One would hope, anyway.
No, we can't hear you, but you can hear us, right, Austin? Type in the chat if you can hear us. I'm gonna go through my phone and I'm gonna see how I do it. But it shouldn't be that hard. It should be like one thing you gotta do, and that's like the end of it. Because all I do is press connect to voice, and then I either set it to A, push to talk, and in which case, you know, well, self-explanatory. Or B, I go in and I set it to I guess output or whatever it's called, the secondary option. Well, what was that? Oh, that was you. Yeah, the secondary option, which is just, you know, fucking... I hear everything, you hear everything in the voice connected section. So yeah, Matt, you bullshit while I try to help him out. Bring up what you've been playing or some other gripe about the world.
So looking into Platinum Games, I didn't realize that one of their earlier games was actually freaking Infinite Space on the way back on the DS.
I think that was literally their second game ever.
Yeah. Yeah, that was their second game, and it was. I mean, it wasn't really good, but it was good certainly. And I knew that was Platinum Games. But interesting how they go from that to freaking Bayonetta. Like, what the fuck? Truly, Platinum Games is fascinating in a way. With their ability to just, oh hey, we're just going to make a game from a completely different genre, and somehow it's going to work. How the hell are they doing that? Oh yeah, it appears you were in fact right about Sega, being the one who were putting out all their games.
Yeah, they've been a publisher for quite some time, but
And oh geez, all their IPs are owned by Sega.
yes.
Fuck.
They are. They're
hurts.
not starting an original IP until this year, but well, you know how that panned out. What was it called? The Dragon game. Fuck. I'm trying to think.
Oh, right. Wait.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called, but you know what I'm talking about. That was supposed to be an original IP, and it was supposed to be commissioned by Microsoft. But now, they're trying to just generate original IP because, if memory serves, Bayonetta doesn't count. Near Automata doesn't count. And really outside of, I think, and I stress the term, I think, that one game where you're boosting everywhere on the ground and shit. Fuck, what was it called?
Vanquish?
Yes. Vanquish is either 50-50. I can't remember if it's part theirs, part Sega's or not. But yeah, that space game and possibly Vanquish, and that's it. Everything else, Sega all the way. Now that being said, alright, so I've given him an instruction thingy, so he'll figure it out when he figures it out. Back to the topics. Our final topic actually. Has the disc reached its limit? Entertainment software wise, we all know at the time big data wasn't expensive, which led to being one of the main reasons CDs became a staple and extremely popular. But like all things in entertainment software in the digital realm, it is entirely possible for something to become obsolete or fall out of heavy use, even if it can do something inferior or superior to a new product. Case in point, the vinyl. Still produces better music than CDs, but due to its size and lack of portability, CDs kind of won out.
Except these days where vinyl is, actually still really popular.
I said portable, not popular.
True.
Yeah. So now with the ever looming idea of the next box, I really like that name. Like sometimes I'm glad they haven't called anything the next box, because then every time they have one system, we can immediately call the next one, who we don't know the name of, the next box. The next box and the eventual, or rather inevitable, PlayStation 5 successors looming ever closer and possibly being the last bastion of disc-based video game entertainment. Do you feel like we're about to hit the second renaissance, or rather the second coming, no pun intended, cartridge or quote-unquote SD cards? Or do you think that possibly / maybe there's going to be something else that happens and they'll coexist peacefully, or some other possibility that could happen in our merry little dimension?
Well, I think that CDs are gone. They are going the way of the dodo. In probably about another 3 years at most, they're probably just not going to really used anymore. Though I could be wrong, and I'll eat my words 3 years from now. If they
Yeah,
are
you
still
should.
around.
Blu-ray players.
True, there is that.
And then those Blu-ray players are going to become Black-ray players, or, well, the disc is black, but it still counts as a Blu-ray. All 4K media is on a black disc, pretty much.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay.
So,
Sweet.
Well, before we, sorry to interrupt you, but here comes a new challenger. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have my lad 22. I'm pretty sure he wants me to pronounce it a different way, but I don't care because he's late. Go ahead and introduce yourself, my lad 22.
My name is Austin. I don't know what you want to know.
You want to talk about your history of video games and your preferred system of choice or lack thereof?
I am a Sony user. I've been playing Sony since the PlayStation 1. I grew up also on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I've briefly touched with Xbox a few times, and I've recently started fucking with PC Master Race.
So fucking tired of hearing that.
I am too, but I gotta make jokes about it because of the people I live with.
It's like the oldest joke that was never funny, if that's even a thing. It sounds like a paradox, but if it's a thing, that's that joke. Anyways, fun fact, me and Mr. Miller here met whilst we were training in the Army. So that means that literally this podcast is now 50% people I trained with in the fucking military. That's funny.
oh my.
Now, alright, so I'm assuming even if you don't know all the topics, there are some topics you potentially had or wanted to have a say-so in, but we couldn't hear you earlier.
I was just going to comment earlier about how you're talking about Nintendo and what they do and how they don't fucks with logic at all. Because
Go ahead.
They have not been innovative in anything they've done, and they refuse to be innovative. They keep doing the exact same, like they pull from the library that they have access to because they know that the library works, and they know that the fanboys that they have in Nintendo are going to continue to buy the stuff. But nothing's really changing. They're not really changing the market. They're not adding anything to the market.
At least game-wise. Console-wise, the Wii was, as much as I hate to admit it, actually really interesting.
For the time, but then after that, Sony and Microsoft, they both did their own thing. It didn't catch up to their own thing. And then Nintendo's just been kind of riding off of that high for the last... I don't know, that came out in 2008. It's almost 2018. The last 10 years they've been riding off that. And it's like, what I want to know what's new, what's next for Nintendo. And they haven't really shown any real promise in that area.
Yeah, the Switch is kind of a mixed bag.
Of course, y'all will say that. You motherfuckers don't even own one. But on that note, I'm going to just point out right now, I've been a lot of things, a boy toy, a man, but never a fanboy or a fuck boy. So let me just say right off, there are some issues with the Switch. And I can say that because, well, I've been playing the Switch since before the shit came out in America. So, to be honest, I can tell you right now, it's not perfect. But any type of new technology has a hiccup. Period. There is no technology that got out the ground and seamlessly transitioned ever when it comes to the world of digital shit. But that being said, in the case of the Switch, the only true problem they have, or that they've been having, is that the two most consistent ones I've seen and I've also experienced is, how the fuck this shit go into the dock and then somehow there's lag that doesn't happen in big screen mode. I mean, that doesn't happen in portable mode, that happens in big screen mode. Like, what the fuck changed? It's basically a high speed, faster speed than an HDMI cable. It's basically a USB Type-C to HDMI cable link, and that's it. That's why those docks are so cheap. There's no extra bells and whistles. And, you know, everyone's right. Obviously, and very easily, they could put some graphic amplifier or some booster type shit into the dock, make a premium version of the dock. But the dock you get as a base is basically that. It's a basic bitch base. Hashtag basic bitch base. And fucking that thing is that's the only true issue with the damn dock. There are games that do perfectly fine in portable mode, and somehow they go into big screen and they just say, "No, what, fuck it, man, I'm out." Which is weird. Which is really weird, especially since it's half USB Type-C and half HDMI. Which is the strongest standards we got for display resolutions on cables on the market right now, or rather easily accessible on the market right now, commercially. And the second problem is their old same classic fucking problem. Nintendo, why the fuck you make controllers for baby hands? What the fuck, Nintendo? Well, what is with you and these baby hand controllers?
Well,
dude,
I mean,
if I press, it is the Y button or X button at the top. I believe it's the X button at the top of Nintendo controllers. If I press that button, I'm gonna tell you right now, my regular normal size thumb, yes, I have bear claws, but my thumb is normal as fuck. If I press that button down without curling in my finger in an unergonomic, painful, crampy way, I'm going to press all of the fucking face buttons at once. When I try to press B, the button lowest, I oftentimes accidentally flick the right joystick down. Let me tell you something. Let's be honest, all bullshit aside, it's the one thing everybody got right and knows not to mess with. The right analog stick is basically the camera controls. Or you swap it with the left if you're so inclined. So you know there's obviously, depending on the game, there's going to be some issues when I try to hit the B button. And also, just holding the damn thing, my palm, the fatty part of my palm can press the R3 equivalent button. I think they call it ZR3 or just R3 or something on that. I don't know. Or Z3. But the thing is that other than that, or when I put it in the wing dock, the little things that let you use it like a regular controller with your hands together, it's perfectly fine. So they knew this could potentially be an issue. And that's their way of adjusting it. But at the same time, I'm just like, Nintendo, this is the second time you've made a controller that is behind the average statistical hand size. And not to sound stereotypical, but I feel like when they start doing these controllers and the grips and size and shit, they're only using Japanese hand sizes or whoever's in the office that day. Let's not forget, almost everybody who's a developer at Nintendo is over 50 or about to be 50. Like not 40, not 30. Every single one, damn near 50.
Well, you said it, so I didn't have to say it.
Dude, like, it's smaller than a can of anything that you'd find in a grocery store. Those traditional metal cans. Yeah. I'm sorry, was that your sneeze?
No, that was my fiance sneezing in the background.
I was about to say, because if that was your sneeze, I was about to get all up in that ass. Anyways. So, that I can honestly say the biggest problem is using the controllers with your shoulders apart and no connector piece in the middle. With normal bear claw adult hands. I don't know how abnormal my hands are, but at the same time I know it's just the traditional sizings are way different, especially in Japan where the average height of a male is fucking 5'6", let alone a female. I believe is 5'3" or flat out 5'5", so they usually get close to evening out. So yeah, that's and people want to bring it. Well, they don't have game support. Everyone's gonna drop out. Well, this time everyone didn't. So stop trying to use that old tired ass excuse. Cause first off, everyone who dropped out last time in the Wii U, they didn't even make it a whole fucking year. They barely made it 3 months. Everyone's staying in the fucking race. There have been no dropouts.
So far,
the closest we've seen to a dropout is Konami, but no one really cares. It's Konami.
admittedly, a year has not yet passed since Switch came out, so we'll see.
Yeah.
What's the last game that Konami even put out? Only thing I can think of was you remember back, 2004 they made that Yu-Gi-Oh game. I can't honestly remember the last Konami game I played.
Okay, well they came out with Metal Gear Solid 5, which took fucking 6-7 years. And that's not even a joke. Like, I think it legitimately took like 6-7 fucking years. And after that, they basically decided, you know what, let's go make a new soccer game. But it wasn't really a new soccer game. They got lambasted online. So they went back to the same thing that they always do. They went to that Metal Gear horse. So they're making a third-person action team zombie slayer Metal Gear type game. I don't know if you ever heard of that game that recently came out called Fortnite, but they basically are making Fortnite themed after Metal Gear, but it actually kind of works because it's a side story, alternate dimension shit. But at the same time, you know, I guess it's better than nothing.
I'm looking at some of the stuff that Konami's made in the last, like,
feel free to drop it in the chat. Feel free to drop it in the chat.
Look like most of it is just arcade game.
And yet we can't get a Zone of Enders 3. Anyways.
Well, yeah, they don't care about good games.
Nah, the owner doesn't care. This dude went and bought all the shares from all the shareholders of the company. Made sure no one else could control or have any say-so in the company but him. And he just turned into a tyrant. He's a miserable old fuckboy who wanted to keep people as basically indentured servants damn near. It's one of the problems with old money in Japan. They don't care that they're fucked up. They care if they can get away with being fucked up. One day we're going to sit down and have a talk about how the anime industry works versus how dumbasses think it works. But I feel like that's one of those ones that'll take us multiple fucking entries. Anyways, because that's another story and we're getting off topic. Yeah, so that's the state of the Switch right now. They're doing a lot right, but at the same time, coming down their own pipeline, a lot of their shit is not, well, it's what you said, Miller. It's pretty much not trying to go past that well of creation. They want other people to do it, or they'll have other people do it. Like, they would have never made a Legend of Zelda action game, period. If Koei Tecmo hadn't made that game, or if Koei Tecmo hadn't approached him about that shit would have never happened. Any form of an action game. They still will not make a fucking horror game. They'll pay somebody to do it. That's why we get all them Resident Evils on fucking GameCube systems. Because Nintendo paid for it. They didn't want to fucking do it. But then they keep talking about how, oh, we make the best games, or they want to continue to make the best games possible. It's like, well, then you need to start touching on more than 2 fucking genres. Not even, actually, let me phrase it. They don't even touch on 2 genres. They touch on 2 ESRB ratings. They touch E and they touch T. That's it. That's it.
Market.
So now Legend of Zelda has its occasional dark tones, which I think, to my knowledge, is their only true T game. But yeah, they put it this way: even if they're not gonna go into that realm of games, other companies will, because their system is still selling like nobody's fucking business. So yeah, to go back into the topics, or the topic I was on, because it was my turn technically. CDs, for me, I don't feel like they're gonna die, but I feel like they're gonna become cheaper and less important. And I don't mean like, oh, how CDs got cheaper when blank DVDs came out. I mean in the sense that people are gonna realize, or these big companies are gonna realize, it's easier to hold, code and encrypt their data when they have a cartridge. Because one, they could set it to only work in that device, which means somebody would have to reverse engineer the operating system to that device. Or specifically the reverse engineer the operating system to the device that it goes into, I should say. Or what could happen is there's a maximum size, we'll say maybe a 128 gigabyte, and they put a movie on it, the movie's 10 gigs, so they use the remaining 118 with a little bit of leeway, so we'll say 117 gigabytes of encryption data. And since it's not a CD, it's easier for them to pull the data to be presented on whatever device they choose, basically making it harder. Because the bullshit and illusion of everyone going to streaming services in the cloud is not going to fucking happen. And unfortunately, it's a misinterpretation of industry trends that has gotten out of hand. Ever since about 2010, everyone keeps saying, oh, the future is diskless. Everyone's trying to go into the cloud, make sure to put everything up there. Bullshit. Because the cloud is easier to hack than everything the fuck else.
I know, but one of the things, like, have you noticed that Walmarts are selling out all their CD selection because it's not worth it for them to actually sell CDs anymore because of problems like the cloud. You have like a huge corporation like Walmart that's not going to be carrying CDs much longer.
Okay, well, here's the thing about that. You have to look at that from multiple perspectives because one, they're going to keep selling video games. For almost 12 to 15 years, or at least until Amazon, half of all video game sales in America was through a Walmart. Period. It was through a Walmart.
No. I understand the video game market, but like just the music industry is like not making CDs anymore. So like if music's like leading the charge with the cloud, is that like the next step for video games?
Or not for video games, but for other possible media. It really, you have to look at it as like, here's another door to get your foot in. It's not so much, okay, we're going to eradicate each other. Not to mention, new stuff doesn't always instantly replace everything else. Sometimes shit goes quick if it's obsolete, or it dies a slow, miserable death, or it never truly dies. It just becomes inferior and becomes less popular. We already went through that earlier. Long story short, though, when the problem with CDs isn't that, well, CDs are being made. The problem is that literally, CDs now have to compete with attention deficit millennials having the internet and not just accessing the radio on the internet, buying shit from stuff like iTunes and Napster and whatnot. Because one of the first things that happened when they popularized shit like that, you weren't around to catch it really, Miller, but me and Cops was, people weren't getting the fucking albums. Even though they could lock these things up to where, okay, you want this song? Get the whole album. Or you want this CD, this single? Get the single CD. They would just get that one song, not give a shit about anything else the artist got, and be out of it. So then they tried to offset that the dumbest way possible. Instead of doing what I just said, they give you 15 to 30 second peeks into that whole song.
Mm-hmm.
So when they did that, they erased anybody's chance of bidding the full albums. So now the way the CD companies and media companies have to work is they get their main revenue from two sources: live performances, live performance DVD and or Blu-ray, and through digital sales. But the problem with that is that they've constantly tried to butt fuck the people who make the music. And it's to varying degrees based on how smart or dumb the artist is to even catch their own shit. And sometimes, you know how it is, it's not even an artist, they're just a singer, and everything that they do is pre-programmed robotic bullshit. Fifth Harmony. Excuse me. I like how one of their own band members who left even snitch on them, and they're still trying to act like, we don't comment on things like this. Like, do you not comment, or did someone tell you not to comment because you don't have a fucking brain in your goddamn head? But we all know the answer to that type of a shit. I'm not going to beat that dead horse too much. Shit like that's been happening since since basically the invention of NSYNC. It was either Backstreet Boys and whichever one of them bitches came first. That's who started this shit.
I don't even know which one came first.
Yeah, like sure you almost can't even tell. But anyways, so the way I see it, what's gonna happen is stuff like movies, they're gonna try to transition over into cartridge. However, it's gonna take them a very long time to do it because it's the same as when the market shifted from CD and DVD to Blu-ray. DVD tried so hard to fight instead of, going on.
And they fought a hell of a good fight.
Yeah, but they officially quit in 2008. I remember the announcements and everything. No one wants that to happen because even if they have to do that, a format war, that's what it was called, that's expensive whether you win or lose. And even if you win, you don't necessarily recoup your losses instantly. And you got to share your wins with everybody else, or you can only get your money from however many people are partially using your licensed or patented shit. So every time somebody makes a Blu-ray or uses a Blu-ray, Sony and like 2 or 3 other companies get a small piece of that pie. But at the same time, what good is that going to do Sony if the only industry that Sony's in that made them a profit last year was the fucking gaming market? See what I'm saying? So sometimes there's winning, there's losing, and there's winning right now and losing in the future.
Win the battle, lose the war.
Basically. So I see it as video games are going to move between all three. There's going to be CDs for people who want to, play their old shit or their vintage shit. And the next system will also have the ability to do cloud games. But once you download them, unlike Steam or DRM Steam, they're on that fucking system, which is what we've been doing anyway with the stuff like, the PSN store. Most of the games I buy, they're not PlayStation Plus exclusive. So when I don't have PlayStation Plus, they steal mines.
You can still play most, if not all, Steam games offline, though.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You don't know if that's going to be, the same in the future because hackers are hackers. People are worried about hackers. People specifically refuse or go out of their way to not put their shit on the universal neutral party of the PC, even though they make these games on PC because they know about it. Nintendo could have been putting their shit on fucking Steam 15 years ago or 12 years ago, whenever Steam first started. And they did get asked. And they kept saying no because, well, they were right in that case. There is no true protection, and it at least takes longer, unless somebody fucks up, for people to decrypt or reverse code and crack open old shit. In fact, fun fact, 2 years ago is how long it took for someone to crack the entire operating system to the Sega Saturn. Now, I don't know when it came out, Matt, look it up, but from the time the Sega Saturn came out to 2 years ago, that's how long it took people in this modern era to completely crack open and decrypt that entire operating system.
Yes, but
that's
you have
impressive.
To ask, were people even caring about it enough to put a concerted effort in?
Yes.
By the way, it came out in Japan in 1994 of November 1994, so that's almost 23 years.
Yep. And yes, people did care. It's not that it...
I'm pretty sure in this case, no one was putting in a really huge amount of effort into it.
People were putting in a huge amount of effort. That's how I know. Some people said it's not impossible, but they said, fuck it, I'm done with it, it's annoying. And over time, they would pass that data on to the next person, next person, next person. Some people would group up. Same with Denuvo. Denuvo was a team of 7 hackers and friends around them in the outer circle for about the equivalent of 3 years in man hours. 3 years in man hours, and there were 2 people that even wanted to give up. And this Chinese woman just tore down that wall and got all up in Denuvo, and they've never recovered. See, it's all prize based. Even if you don't get physical accolades or, a reward, which some companies do reward hackers for finding, security holes. It's an actual legitimate job now.
Well, that's how half the people get hired in the freaking online security industry.
Yeah,
they hacked a company, and the company offered them a job afterwards.
Yeah, that's actually true. Mr. Robots are fucking everywhere, good and bad. But here's the thing. She got through because it was a title. It was because of bragging rights. It wasn't because she was getting paid. It was because of bragging rights. That's how a lot of this stuff works. It's by your own will mixed with your own ambition. So, anyways, I see video games becoming the Omniforce or the the Omni device when it comes to shit like this. There could be a cell phone dock in the future that kind of acts like the Switch dock. You dock it into this game, and if it's a game from this company on the app, now you can play it on that system without having to buy it on that virtual console for that system anymore. Imagine playing Final Fantasy IX, and because you got Final Fantasy IX, you can Bluetooth link or literally leave your cell phone on top of the game system and go and start playing it in HD or whatever, or just scaled up on a console. Imagine the cartridges for the next Nintendo system. Not only do they read DS and 3DS games, but they read Switch games as well. Then you got most of the trifecta right there. And then they can even go in and add a CD adapter plug-in or whatever. So now you can put in old CDs that are like from GameCube to Wii, or just the Wii, or the Wii U. Not too many people are going to be fucking with that option. But you get what I'm getting. You get what I'm saying. It's completely possible for them to make a base unit and then make adaptations around it, or make a base unit and then a premium version of the base unit. In fact, that's what we got right now. PlayStation 4, PlayStation Pro.
Yeah, true enough.
So,
we'll see in due time.
Yeah, I say, honestly, my answer is it could go either way, or it could become a paradise. That being said, all right, new guy, just to recap on the question. Do you feel CDs are about to go the way of the dodo and we're going to the second renaissance of cartridge for video games, or you think something else is going to happen? Why or why not?
I think currently the market's pretty stagnant.
True.
So I think years if something better were to come out, then it's going to make the CD obsolete. But right now, with what's out there on the market, you have to worry for at least the next 2 to 3 years for anything threatening CDs or Blu-rays.
Short, sweet, and to the point. As per usual, Mr. Griffin. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm pretty sure you figured out by now how we do things, but let me just make sure on the record, I do tell you for future reference, all podcasts are pretty much considered rated R. I do not do this shit to, get YouTube fame or money. I do it because I like it, my friends like it, and it gives us a reason to, fuck around on YouTube or the internet in general without causing chaos. Do not make any death threats unless they involve anything whose last name is Kardashian or Bieber. Am I forgetting anything, Mr. Cops?
Oh, also remember the daily fuck Konami.
Oh, that's funny. Oh yeah, so small bit of gaming news, because that's how we like to end these things. We either do what are you playing, what do you listen to, or gaming news. Just weird shit or random shit we find. Somebody actually was able to pass the Nintendo Switch cartridge through their system.
What?
Yeah, now I know that doesn't sound like, much of a feat, because anybody can fucking swallow a small device. Go look up any toddler ever.
Wait, they ate?
Wait, you're saying someone ate it and then shit it out?
Yes, but here's what makes it special. Now, you weren't around for...
Does it still work?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
God.
All right, so here's a short end of it, and as y'all may or may not remember, one of my side jobs is I'm a general manager for entertainment software that sells their shit through Amazon, and I found out about shit like this the weirdest way possible. I got an email one day asking us, "Hey, do you guys have food insurance for the Nintendo Switch?" I was like, "The fuck are you talking about?" But of course, I didn't say it in those words. So he explains to me that, he wanted to know because he had a Switch game that he ruined and he wanted to get back without paying for retail. That got food or gunk in it in some way that it couldn't get read by the Nintendo Switch. So I asked him why the fuck he even did this. And just making sure he's mentally stable. And he alerts me why he did it and shit. Okay, so there's a challenge going around. And you know how challenges work with the jackass generation. Let me phrase that. The Caucasian jackass generation. Yeah. So, here's the thing. Nintendo actually... and
I has something other.
Yeah, this is the 3 hour... This is like a 3 hour conversation for me to get this. I called up Nintendo because, well, I can do that sometimes. Sometimes. And basically, the way it works is... They wanted to ensure that small children don't eat these fucking cartridges. So what they did was they coated every single Switch game with the legal limit as far as strongest bitter agent chemical that human beings that you can buy and that humans can take. The strongest agent. Right? Now here's what happened. It worked. But people found out about it and it became a challenge. How long can you keep it on your mouth or in your tongue and shit like that?
So the guy ate it.
Fucking hate people.
Well, no. That's just how I found out about it. But this guy, no one knows what the fuck happened in his situation. But he swallowed it and he passed it. He didn't vomit it up, nothing. Which theoretically he should have. Because here's the thing about it. Bitterness. Even though your taste buds make you taste still exists even if they're not on your taste buds. So your body can react to the bitterness.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know the full thing behind it. I was raised by a retired nurse, but I don't know everything.
Wow.
So yeah, this dude passed it. What I can find out though is one, what you said. Does it still work? And two, what dumbass did this and what were the circumstances?
So you don't know then?
No, but at the same time, I kind of want to call Nintendo an ass, but at the same time, I really think they don't know the answer either because, well, no one's that damn stupid. Well, let me phrase that. There was no one that damn stupid except for this one guy.
Through that.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, this has been another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. Thank you, Officer Cops, for showing up. By the way, that is his real last name. I shit you not.
Yeah.
And also, welcome, new guy. I'll be sure to make sure I watch your show every night on Fox. 6 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock CST. All right,
Fuck yourself.